Yeah,
Oh, but thank you for taking time out of your day to chat all things
of
Riddle
course.
of Fire. It's I think for me it was one of those films that kind of captured my own youth in a way. So I think firstly as a Belle who was very much a tomboy and who grew up playing with the boys in the neighborhood, thank you for giving sort of that representation that girls do that because I think you look at like Stand By Me and the Goonies and stuff. It's all very much
Yeah.
the for boys, and then there are some girls in the Goonies, but they're a bit more like, "Oh, what are we doing on this adventure?" So thank you for representing that girls like dirt too. Yes, yeah,
Of course.
is the first thing. But I guess sort of starting at the beginning, where did this idea come about? I think I was reading that it was actually meant to be a different story focused on some different characters, but then like these younger people just sort of kept speaking to you.
Correct. Yeah, correct. I wrote a script that was a more of a high school movie about high school kids on some misadventure, and the main character had a group of younger brothers, three younger brothers that were these dirt bike riding little rascals who sort of tagged along and kind of were his like sort of goblin slash guardian angels of that story. And every time I did a rewrite, their parts would increase and increase until I was sort of kind of like, I really just want to see it would be so much more fun to just do a story about these kids. And then I sort of it became it became so much simpler and easier. And I was like, it's just going to be a simple movie about this kid quest about these three kids. And then it sort of took a lot of the like, it just made making a low budget movie sound a lot easier or just better. So yeah, so sort of decided that and then rewrote a whole new script kind of, and then yeah, added Alice and Petal and then many other characters. Yeah.
I think it very much sort of spoke to me as somebody who was my mum kicked me out in the morning, and I came back when it was dinner in the evening. But I think that's kind of something that children have lost today. Do you kind of feel that maybe modern children have lost some of that magic of being young?
Yeah, I think on average, yes. I know there are many little tiny towns here in Utah. I'm in Utah for the moment, and there's a bunch of tiny little towns here that you do drive through and you see kids on dirt bikes or on bikes, like with bow and arrows or something on little adventures. And I feel like that magic still exists in certain places for sure. But overall, it's dwindling and yeah, that was definitely a goal of the movie was to make this sort of this full-on adventure movie that lacked any of those sort of like inhibitions that modern times give. Yeah.
And do you think that maybe, there could be some younger audience members that find this film and sort of view it as, as we would have done with films like Stand By Me and The Goonies, and it might inspire them to go out and be a bit more adventurous.
Yeah, that's the goal for sure. I mean, that's I would hope that's the case. Absolutely. Yeah.
And for you as a child, what were those films that inspired adventures? I mean, I was a Labyrinth, Gremlins 2, and Jurassic Park kid. They were my go-to games. How about yourself?
Yeah, my brothers and I loved my mom would rent us the Little Rascals, like the original like 1920s Our Gang Little Rascals compilations, and we loved them. We also loved the like a lot of 90s kids movies like The Little Rascals of the 90s, Home Alone, The Sandlot, and then also like vintage Disney movies, live action Disney movies that are forgotten, like The Apple Dumpling Gang or The Biscuit Eater, these sort of like kind of charming, like, I don't know, like side projects that Disney was doing in the 70s that had kind of that felt a bit like freewheeling and they lacked the kids sort of lacked some rules or so it had a bit of that. And so those were kind of my influences along with like uh, I love Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress. It has this really, I love all his movies, but that one it has this sort of like freewheeling forest adventure thing to it, where the characters are kind of they feel like lost on an adventure in this enchanted forest of sorts. And so I wanted to bring some of that to Riddle. as well as board games. There's this board game called Enchanted Forest that we used to play. And then yeah, just and then also just my own childhood, riding dirt bikes and paintballing and like spying on adults and stuff like that. And yeah.
And so much of this film obviously rests on the performances of the young cast. I mean, they're all, phenomenal, young professionals. How on earth do you go about finding, these children who can be sort of so wise beyond their years?
Yeah, it's really hard. Luckily, I had a pretty great casting director who led me to each of them. They were in he found them, and I they were the only of all the kids I saw tapes from, they were the only four that I gave callbacks to and met with, and thought they could do it. And yeah, they each had this very like timeless child actor thing to them that I thought would fit very well for Riddle. And yeah, they all were great. They all like got their attitudes were all great. They, they got the script, they got the vibe of the movie. Their parents were also very nice and cool too, and good to work with. So yeah, they were very fun. Yeah.
And did you learn anything sort of working with kids? Because I imagine it's a very different, set of skills required to work with young actors as opposed to adults.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I, I sort of what makes it kind of easier for directing kids is do it like directing them in a movie like Riddle of Fire, which is so action based. It's there's lighter comedy stuff, and it's mostly like I'm just playing the camp counselor, and I'm like, okay, like today we're jumping in a river, today we're like running up the mountain, today we're like hopping in a truck and hiding. Everybody and like okay, running, and a lot of it is just like okay, running, jumping. So that's easier, and it's a much more easier process to do that rather than like directing a child actor in a dramatic performance. That's something that would be, I would not have done it it would have been a much different process, let's just say. But yeah, and then that Riddle of Fire was a extremely short shoot, and we were very limited shooting hours in the day, so very little takes were done, and so I was just, it was kind of like I just kind of went for it and like threw the darts at the board as they would be, and just kind of, we're gonna shoot this and get what we get, and I'm gonna edit it the best I can, and I don't know, just kind of, yeah. But my approach was like camp counselor, ringmaster at the circus, like, just keeping the kids very excited. Yeah.
But that must have been fun for, for you and the crew as well, getting to kind of, tap back into that, forgotten youth in a way.
Yeah, we did. It was really fun. Yeah, we definitely rode the dirt bikes around a lot. We jumped into the river too. We sort of had a little party at the beautiful Dale house. And then we had the wrap party at the ranch house that the Enchanted Blade gang lives in. And yeah, it was a fun. I mean, it was very, very difficult, but also, the best of times and the worst of times. Yeah.
And one of the things that makes the film so special is that it is filmed on film. You shot on 16 millimeter. Why was it important for you to film in that way as opposed to going digital?
Yeah, I love film very much. My main reason for shooting film is because my work is my work is pretty stylized. Like my worlds and my characters and my plots are pretty stylized, and the suspension of disbelief is a bit larger than other movies. And in order to pull that off, I need to shoot on film, in my opinion. Like in order to kind of buy that stylized world and like give yourself over to the stylized world, film is the medium which allows me to do that. So that's mostly why I shoot it. But I also it is the most beautiful medium to shoot a movie on, in my opinion, and just makes everything look better. Like acting looks better on film, production design looks better on film, in my opinion. So yeah, it's harder, but I also like the work process better. It just seems more special, like so much more special to shoot something on film. Like it feels like like if you're working on a drawing, you're just drawing in pen rather than like drawing in pencil or something where it just could be erased. And so it feels very like sacred, like you're using a sacred medium. Yeah. I also have like a theory that like the film gods favor the shoots that are shooting on film. Like they're more lenient to you. You have better luck. Like your luck is better shooting on film, but it's my opinion.
I know the film, as you know, it's toured the festival circuit a while, for a long time before release. What was the reaction like in those first few screenings? Because I imagine it's always quite nerve-wracking when, you've worked so hard on this and then it's finally in front of an audience. How was those first few screenings?
The first screening was the premiere at Cannes, and it was one of the best moments of my life. It was an incredible screening. We had an 8 minute standing ovation. It couldn't have been better. I mean, it felt great. I like to. I need to be when I like send my when I finish a movie and I show it to people. I need to be 100% confident about it. So I wasn't that. I don't know because if I love it, then it's all good to me. So, but yeah, it was received very well. And yeah, it couldn't have been better. And then yeah, the festival circuit was very fun, received very well, made a lot of friends around the world, and yeah, it's great.
And have you had a chance to think about what you might like your next project to be? Are you looking, you've got any genres or stories in mind?
Yes, I finished the script recently and it, we're it's we're trying to aiming to shoot next spring. It's a Euro crime movie, quite different from Riddle. But yeah, that's all I'll say about that for now. Yeah.
But I think that's good when a director changes up. You don't want to make the
Yeah,
same film 20 times in your career. You want to make, 20 different films.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And for those that, haven't caught Riddle yet, why do you hope that they take a chance on this film?
Um, why do I hope they take a chance on this film? Uh, I don't to see a world they haven't seen yet, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one of the great things about it is it has this real timeless quality to it. I think so many films, especially focusing on young people, date themselves with, like a TikTok scene or, a tweet or something. And then, in 2 years' time, well, no one's on TikTok anymore. That's dated. But I think this
Yeah.
film, much like the films that we were watching growing up, has this real timeless quality to it. So are you hoping that, future generations are sort of, touting this in interviews like this as being an inspiration for something?
Totally. Yeah. And thank you. I really appreciate that. I do try to make my work timeless as possible, all of it. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. And yes, I do. I hope that people are inspired by it. Yeah.
Well, I wish you best of luck with the wide release now and with your future projects. I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kat.